Let's get back to some football. Yeah, there you go. The 2011 NFL Draft is officially open.
The 2011 NFL Draft featured one of the most interesting classes I've covered. Not only was draft night shocking,
the Tennessee Titans select Jake Locker, quarterback, Washington.
But this was also one of the most loaded top 10s that I've made a video about. Of course, I did just recently make a video about the quarterbacks from this class, but I couldn't miss out on talking about the rest of this top 10, especially considering it includes everything from future Hall of Famers to disappointing busts.
Former 49er Aldon Smith has been arrested once again in San Francisco, this time for violating a court order.
Now, before we kick this thing off, this video is sponsored by Current. If you want to talk about the future of banking, it's right here with this Visa debit card. This card is your mobile bank, and it comes with a ton of great features, from getting paid up to 2 days faster, the ability to use 55,000 ATMs for free, depositing checks on your smartphone, earning points on purchase and redeeming for cash, and sending money for free using your Current card. It works with Apple Pay, Google Pay, Cash App, and Venmo. Current is a real bank account with no hidden fees and no minimum balance requirements, with a free overdraft up to $100. And the easiest part of all, it takes just 2 minutes to sign up and they ship you the card for free. So, go ahead and click the link in the description to get signed up today. Shout out to Current for the sponsor. Now, let's get back to the video.
The Carolina Panthers select Cam Newton, quarterback, Auburn.
Cam Newton went on to become an excellent pro quarterback, despite all the hate that he received entering the NFL. He earned Rookie of the Year, went to 3 Pro Bowls in his first 5 seasons, and won the MVP in 2015. Because of these accomplishments, it's tough to say that he wasn't worth the #1 overall pick. But that doesn't mean that there weren't other players worthy of being drafted first overall. You know how pretty much every first and second overall pick in the draft are compared throughout their careers? Think Andrew Luck and RG3, Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. Well, in 2011, the #2 overall pick was Von Miller.
Boston. This is absolutely a knockdown by Von Miller. On 3rd and 4. Newton tries to get away, but fails to. It's Von Miller, the second pick a year ago.
It was like Von Miller had it out for Cam Newton. In their first matchup in 2012, Von lit Cam up, and he was even fined for an illegal low hit. Then when Cam went on his incredible MVP run in 2015, Von Miller met him on the final stage and made the game-breaking strip sack in the Super Bowl twice. As Cam went on to win the regular season MVP, Von won the Super Bowl MVP. Talk about a story. Both these two were incredible at one point. Von's been more consistent considering he's been to the Pro Bowl almost every single year of his career. They were both at the top of their positions at one point, helped turn around their respective franchises, and were ultimately worthy of their draft selections. It's pretty cool to see.
With the 3rd pick in the 2011 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Marcel Darius, defensive tackle, Alabama.
Darius was decent in his first 2 years with the Bills, but things really took off in 2013 when he reached his first Pro Bowl. Then in 2014, he had become the player Buffalo had hoped when he led all defensive tackles in the NFL in sacks. As the 2015 season kicked off, Darius signed a 6-year contract extension worth $95.1 million with $60 million guaranteed. This was the most guaranteed money ever for a non-quarterback at the time, and it was also when his career went downhill.
Bills Pro Bowl defensive lineman Marcel Darius was arrested in Alabama on drug charges, according to the Claiborne County Sheriff's Office.
Starting with the controversy involving him being arrested on drug charges in 2014, his performance took a huge dip after that season. Then he was suspended for 4 games in 2016 for violating the NFL's substance abuse policy. Not even 3 full seasons after signing that mega deal, and the Bills traded Darius away for a lowly 6th round pick. After a season-ending injury in 2019, Jacksonville declined the option to keep Darius, and he's been a free agent since.
Okay, with the 4th pick in the 2011 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select A.J. Green, wide receiver, Georgia.
After an excellent 3-year college career, A.J. Green became the highest selected Georgia receiver ever. You can't really tell the story of his career without mentioning Andy Dalton. The Bengals also took the TCU quarterback later in the 2011 draft, and these two instantly became a tandem.
Cincinnati sideline. Dalton out of the pocket, dials up the deep ball, double coverage, and caught by Green! Touchdown! It's the rookie connection for the Bengals!
After becoming the most successful rookie quarterback-receiver duo in league history, their legacy has been defined by their consistency. By 2017, Dalton had gone to 3 Pro Bowls, and AJ had gone to 7 straight. Throughout that time, they had been a consistent playoff team, something the Bengals franchise had failed to do before they arrived in 2011. The only thing that slowed AJ down was injuries, which caused him to miss a chunk of 2018 and all of 2019. That's around the time the Bengals entered rebuild mode and released Andy Dalton. Although the duo was recently separated and their roles have been diminished, the legacies they have in Cincinnati won't be forgotten, and AJ Green was one of the best receivers during the 2010s.
With the 5th pick in the 2011 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Patrick Peterson, defensive back, LSU.
There were analysts out there who thought that Patrick Peterson was the best prospect in the draft, and for good reason, because this lockdown corner and special teams standout at LSU showed how explosive he was right away.
Kick. Peterson looks around, backpedals, takes it at the 2, trying to get outside, turns it upfield. Patrick Peterson gets by the punter. Peterson may go all the way. He will. Patrick Peterson wins it for the Cardinals.
At first, he became known for his return ability, but in his second year, he intercepted 7 passes, which ranked him as 4th in the NFL. And then by the end of year 3, Peterson had established himself as one of the best corners in the league. He would go on to sign a $70 million contract extension with $48 million guaranteed. By his 8th season in the NFL, he had made 8 consecutive Pro Bowls. There's very few dudes in the history of the league that can match that. Now, he is with the Vikings, but his play hasn't dropped off too much. Patrick Peterson was well worthy of the number 5 pick, and is surely on his way to the Hall of Fame one day.
The Cleveland Browns have traded the 6th pick to the Atlanta Falcons. With the 6th pick in the 2011 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Julio Jones, wide receiver, Alabama.
Regarded just as highly as fellow SEC receiver AJ Green, Julio Jones was another can't-miss prospect. The Browns had possessed the number 6 pick, but the Falcons traded up to pair Julio with a young Matt Ryan. I don't have to say too much more. Julio became a force.
End zone. It is caught with a touchdown. Bryant going deep for Julio Jones, who goes up and makes the catch. What a catch by Jones. Ryan 1st and 20, going to go right back that way at Jones again. Another flag down and a one-hand tremendous grab by Jones.
2015 was the peak year for Julio. It was simply one of the greatest single seasons ever by a wide receiver. With numerous NFL records, this mega freak talent was not only worthy of this pick, but there's not been a better receiver in the NFL since he entered the league in 2011.
With the 7th pick in the 2011 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Aldon Smith, defensive end, Missouri.
If you were going to look at just the first 2 years of all of these draftees so far, Aldon Smith was the best of them all. He nearly set the rookie sack record with 14 in 2011. Then in 2012, he had a staggering 19.5 sacks, passing the legendary Reggie White as the fastest player to 30 sacks. Amazing, right? This dude was a huge reason why the Niners made the Super Bowl in 2013. Only things went quickly downhill from here.
Noon, former NFL football player Aldon Smith has been arrested again, this time for violating a restraining order.
Aldon Smith has been arrested at LAX airport.
Aldon Smith has been arrested once again in San Francisco, this time for violating a court order.
A string of legal issues completely derailed Aldon Smith's career. Case after case was adding up.
It's time to cut bait with Aldon Smith. I have no idea what the commissioner is going to do, but you know and I know Aldon Smith may be gone for a long while when the commissioner finally feels like he's on solid enough ground legally to rule on that, to suspend Aldon Smith.
In 2015, following an arrest for his third DUI, and Aldon Smith, the NFL record holder for the most sacks by a player in his first 2 seasons, was released by the Niners. After playing for 1 season in Oakland, he would eventually miss 4 straight seasons due to suspension. And after finally returning to play again in 2020, he just recently turned himself in on battery charges. It's just so sad to think that this guy was perhaps the most talented of any of these players so far.
With the 8th pick in the 2011 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Jake Locker, quarterback, Washington.
The shocker, Jake Locker at number 8. This was a big deal because nobody expected another quarterback besides BlaineGabbert to go off this early. Since I tell Locker's story in a recent video I made, I'll quickly summarize. Locker was, at best, an injury-prone, middle-tier starting quarterback. Tennessee liked him for his improbability at Washington, but he just turned the ball over too often and failed to produce consistently. The dude only made it 4 years in the NFL before calling it quits, with a lack of passion being the main reason why he left.
With the 9th pick in the 2011 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Tyron Smith, offensive tackle, USC.
Following 2 busts in a row, the Cowboys selected offensive tackle Tyron Smith. He was the first offensive lineman that Jerry Jones had drafted in the first round, and for good reason. If this team was going to get back to their glory years of the ground and pound style of the 90s, it all started with a decent O-line, and Smith was the perfect selection. He made it onto the all-rookie team, and by 2014, he was arguably the best at his position in the NFL. He became the anchor on the league's top offensive line during the DeMarco Murray years and throughout Zeke's career. From 2013 to 2019, Smith made it to 7 Pro Bowls in a row. Despite missing most of 2020, it's safe to say that Tyron Smith was worth the number 9 pick.
With the 10th pick in the 2011 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select BlaineGabbert, quarterback, Missouri.
With the final pick of this top 10, Jacksonville thought they had struck gold drafting BlaineGabbert. Gabbert was seen as the safest quarterback in the draft, and some argued that he should have gone number 1 over Cam Newton. But unfortunately, it didn't take long for the Jags to lose faith in him. After 3 mediocre seasons, which included a 1 touchdown and 7 interception stretch his final year, the Jags were ready to move on. Gabbert would be traded and never became anything more than a career journeyman. Considering he was a high first-round pick, it's safe to say that Jacksonville whiffed. It's pretty wild how spread out this class was. You had Hall of Fame level players, a quarterback who left after 4 years, a player who got suspended for 4 years, and the quarterback who was supposed to be the safest pick in the draft, but wasn't. And perhaps the craziest part about Gabbert was who came 1 pick after him.
This is 3rd and 2. Texans coming to the blitz. Manuel intercepted by Watt.